I'm sorry for that. So taking us on today's class, we'll be having Mrs. Adebanke. I don't know if you can see my screen. Mrs. Adebanke is a management specialist with over 20 years of experience in strategy, operations, and human resource management. She began her career in law, but later moved into business management, where her passion lies. In the course of her career, she has developed various management strategies that drives optimal operational performance to achieve the overall organizational objective. While also developing the human resource capacity skills required for successful implementation. She is currently the head of strategy and planning in a government agency. She is married with children. Please, with a resounding applause in the chat room, can we make welcome Mrs. Adebanke? Later, she'll be taking us on ethics. Thank you, ma'am. You can take it off from here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very
Okay, ma'am.
much, and thank you for the applause. Thank you for the introduction. Um, I'm glad to be here again in Transformation College. And this morning, we'll quickly go to the class that we have. I'm trying to share my screen now. Please let me know when when you are able to see what I'm sharing. Please let me know if you can see my screen or when you can
Yes,
see
we
my
can
screen.
see your screen. Yes, we can see
Fantastic.
your screen.
So briefly, I have just 1 hour, so I'm going to try and make it as make the best of a time that I have. And this
Sorry,
morning we are
ma'am,
going.
please, can you put it in a presentation mode?
It is in presentation mode already. Please let me know if you
Okay,
can see it in presentation mode.
it's okay now. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we are going to talk about ethics. What is ethics? What does it entail? What's the definition of ethics? We are looking at various aspects of ethics and understand how it impacts us in our day-to-day lives. First, we will look at what ethics is. Ethics is from the Greek word. The root word is ethos, and the root word means a way of living, the way of living, which is basically founded on the principle of morality, which that means standards of what is good or bad, what is morally right or wrong for a person or a society. Ethics establish the rules that the individuals in a society need to follow for the survival of the society. Therefore, ethics is said to be subjective. That means what um, is acceptable or ethical in one environment may not be in another environment. That means ethics is dependent on the environment. Or that's why we said it is communal. An ethical behavior is an action. Sorry, excuse me. An ethical behavior is an action that is following the rules of what is considered correct in society. On the contrary, an unethical behavior is driven by the desire to be good. Okay, sorry, excuse me. Let me just try and hide this to make it a little more. Thank you. A moral behavior is driven by the desire to do good, which most people believe it is inherent. Most people believe that morality is imprinted in you. Naturally, you want to do what is good. However, it is fine
Excuse me,
tuned
ma'am.
by. Can you hear me?
Please. Yes, I can hear you. Please, what screen, which of the slides are you making use of?
The slides you sent to me.
No, no, no. What I mean is what you are explaining right now. Is it, we want to know what is on your screen because it's like your screen is not moving.
No, no, I'm still on this page. I have not moved yet.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so please allow me to go with the class. If you have a message, please just send it to me on my WhatsApp so that I don't lose the trend of my thoughts.
All
Thank
right.
you. So, in broader sense, ethics reflects what human beings and their interaction with other human beings is, and their interaction with nature in general. It reflects on freedom, responsibility, justice, what is right or wrong, how you interact with your environment, how you interact with other people in your environment. And it can be said in general that it's concerned about human independence. In a little bit, we'll go into human independence and we'll understand what human independence is and put a little bit of perspective on what we mean by ethics in relation to human independence, because this focuses on the relationship that exists between humans and the world at large. That means the environment in which humans live and operate. Now, when you say ethics is concerned with human autonomy and agency, that's autonomy and agency is referring to the human independence. And this is basically an examination of the interaction between the relationship between humans, like I said earlier on, and the world around them. It looks at how we affect the world around us, your environment, your society, how the world affects us back. That means how they form us, how they influence us. That's when you look at social norms, cultural expectations. That's the impact the world around you has on you as a human, and impact of human actions on the world. So basically, it looks at the interaction between the human with other humans, and then human and the world around them, which is the society in which they live. However, drilling down, we will look at autonomy and agency. What is autonomy and what is agency? Autonomy refers to ability of an individual to make choices and decisions based on their own free will. It refers to your ability to think independently and act. So when you talk about autonomy, you but the place of ethics in this that most of these actions that you take is based on your conditioning by the kind of ethics or standards of behavior that have been around you. Meanwhile, agency looks at taking actions that impact your own life and the world around you. So ethics is about your own free will, your own behavior, you are your ability to self-govern and regulate. Whereas agency means how your decisions, how your choices affect the world around you. Exercise and power, control over your own decisions and circumstances, and how you shape your destiny and create your own opportunities. Swiftly moving along, we would now look at agency. Agency and autonomy imply that individuals have the ability to think for themselves, make decisions that reflect their own values and goals, and act upon these decisions to achieve their own objectives and take responsibility for their choices and actions. That means what you and I do on a day to day basis is to a large extent dependent on what we want to do. Your ability to make your decision on what I want to do, which is influenced by your environment, which is you are conditioned by the ethical standards in your environment. Thus, ethics is concerned with understanding and evaluating dynamic relationship between humans and their environment, how this relationship influences human decision making, behavior and values, and how human behavior and values your decisions, their impact on the environment around you. This perspective on ethics highlights the importance of considering the interconnectedness of human existence in the world we inhabit, and how our own choices and actions shape our lives and the world around us. So basically, we've looked at ethics, we've looked at the independence, where we considered human autonomy and agency in relation to ethics. And basically, it is helping us to understand that human behavior and an attitude is basically a function of your own decision making, the impact your environment has in conditioning you, and your own attitude and behavior and decision making, the impact it has on your environment. Now, a few ethical qualities uh, we have here on the screen. We'll see things like integrity, morals,
Please,
principle,
ma, your
value,
slide is not
honor,
advancing, ma.
ethics,
Sorry for
choice. Sorry?
interrupting.
Check your slide. The slide is not
Hello?
moving along with what you are saying. This,
Hello?
Your slide is not changing, ma.
My slide is not changing. What slide can you
Yes,
see
ma.
now?
Still on what is ethics?
Still on what is ethics?
Yes,
yes.
ma.
We are still on, oh, that's sad. Okay, let me just give me a second. Let me sign out. Maybe it's a function of my, let me stop sharing and then reshare again.
Thank you, ma.
Okay. Please let me know once you're able to see my slide. Can you see my slides now?
No, it's not loading.
Okay, let's do it this way. Can someone share from um, Transformation College so that maybe it's my network?
All right, ma'am. That's going to be done. Give us a moment.
Okay.
So okay, I'm trying to share my screen now because I have the slides. So just give me a few
Okay.
moments while I share my screen.
Thank you. While we wait for the slides to be shared, let me just continue speaking to the slides. Some of the various qualities or ethical qualities that we know, that we understand, that sometimes people even interchange with ethics are integrity, morality, values, honor, choice, conscience, fairness, responsibility, correctness, or I'll call it rightness or right, honesty, and principles. All these things are various qualities that are associated with ethics. Now, if we look at morality, what is morality? Various people have different understanding or belief of what they think morality is. Some people believe morality is but let's look for what is considered right or wrong behavior in a society by an individual. Like I said earlier on, it's usually ingrained in you as a person. It encompasses ethical standards and guides decision making based on notions of fairness, justice, and conscience. Morality influences how individuals and society evaluate actions and make ethical judgments. I won't move too fast so that I will be able to take us along with the slides because I'm here to see the slides.
Sorry about that, ma'am. We are about to share it now.
Thank you. Also, one of the qualities of ethics is, thank you. It's coming up now.
Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Hello, ma'am. We can no longer hear you.
Okay, thank you. Can you move to the next few slides, please? Next slide. Or if you can give me the ability to control the slides from here. Next slide. Okay, I can see some comments that says I'm in a hurry, so I will slow down. We have just 1 hour and we have quite a number of slides to cover. So I'll slow down now and I'll try and take it from the beginning. If you have a question, please just raise your hand and call my attention to it. I've started with telling us about what ethics is. We related it to morality and we looked
Yes,
at
I got
various
that.
principles of ethics. Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So now, please let me know if I'm moving too fast. I can see some of you saying I'm moving too fast. Next slide, we are looking at the various qualities, these various ethical qualities. Next slide, please. We've started with looking at what morality is. Morality, like I said earlier on, refers to a system of principles, values, beliefs that govern what is considered right or wrong behavior. Is it okay? Is it permissible? Is it acceptable to behave in a certain way? It encompasses standards that guide decision making and it is usually based on the notions of fairness. Is it justice? Is it in good conscience? And that's why I said it is usually ingrained in people. It's based on your conscience. How do you feel after you have done it? Usually, morality influences how you make your decision, and this influences societies, how society evaluates or how society will judge the action that has been taken. Now, confidentiality, on the other hand, means your ability to keep things private. It is the principle of protecting sensitive and private or privileged information. A lot of us, either in school or in class or in place of work, have had opportunity to come in contact with some information that are not supposed to be shared openly. So in those such cases, or even when you go into contract, you see some confidentiality clause. It means based on your ethics, you are not supposed to divulge sensitive information. Sensitive information. There are some professions that's like in the legal profession, medical profession. These are held in very, very, very high. There are high requirements that you cannot breach confidentiality. Like your lawyer cannot divulge any conversation you have with him. Your even in religion, your priest does not divulge your information and stuff like that. Also, we want to look at integrity. It is the quality of being honest. Your yes is your yes, your no is your no. If you say, this is what I'm doing, you say, I'll be there 7 o'clock in the morning to pick it up. You are there at that point. When you say yes, people don't have to doubt you. It involves consistency in your action and adhering to code of values or ethics. Usually, when some people, when they tell you good morning, you have to check if the sun is up or down. That's not, it doesn't show that you are a person of integrity. A lot of us make promises and we take the promises very lightly. That is not, it doesn't portray integrity. You understand? So it involves consistency in your action, your ability to say, adhere to some certain values, and even when faced with decisions that are very difficult, you stick to your guns. That means you are honest in your decision making. Next slide, please. Decision making. If you notice, most of what we've been saying earlier on, remember, we talked about human independence. That's your autonomy, your ability to be able to make decisions independently by yourself. You think of it and you do it. Now, decision making is usually, this morning, a lot of us have made decisions. You woke up this morning, you decided to log on to this class. That's a decision you have taken. And you are usually surrounded either choice with various choices. You could have gone out for a party this morning, you could have chosen to go watch TV, but your decision is to come to this class to learn and enhance yourself. And that is based on a moral principle or an ethical principle that you need to improve. You need to go to school. You need to learn one or two extra skills to improve yourself. So, decision making is a process of selecting a course of action or a choice from among multiple alternatives. For economists around us, you understand the opportunity cost. You have various options, but you choose the one that is most suitable for you at the moment, and the cost is lowest for you. It involves assessing, making a judgment based on available data or your values, your preferences, and your goals. What's your goal? I want to improve myself. Somebody else's goal is I want to enjoy myself. So the person goes for a party. So that's basically ethical standards influences. Some people have to be in the class, but they make a choice of not coming to the class. That's also a response of an influence of their ethical standards. Honesty is the quality of being truthful, being straightforward and sincere in one's actions. Yes is yes and no is no. It borders on integrity also and transparency. You don't mislead other people. It also is very similar to being truthful. It's the act of telling the truth, conveying information accurately and honestly, and it's being straightforward, not calling gray black. And I know there are always gray lines, gray areas, but you should endeavor to have. It's about telling what, calling white white and black black. Please, next slide. Now, oops. We want to look at ethics against morals. If you remember, when we were looking at ethics at the beginning, we said something about ethics being based on moral principles. Now, a lot of people have they juxtapose the two, they mixed or they interchange the two. They use ethics to mean morality or morality to mean ethics. However, because we are in a class, we are going to differentiate between the two. Now, simply explained, ethics is just your morality with a little bit or with some reasoning attached to it. That means you are able to. It's there's something in called metacognition, knowing what you are thinking about, your ability to reason, your ability to put some thoughts. So you know this is morals guides you on good, bad, fair, what your conscience dictates. Cognition is now the ability to reason, add some level of thinking into it. So while morals is based on your compass, your conscience, and all, ethics is your morals with some level of reasoning attached to it. So to have an ethical viewpoint, you should be able to give some reason for it. For instance, moral philosophy is about thinking based on morality. Next slide, so that we can examine various aspects of next slide, please. Now, let me give you a typical example of how this works. Now, you see, a lot of us, I'm sure, have cars. If we don't have cars, we've been in cars. If we have not been in cars, or at least we've driven cars before, or we've been in cars. An average person that has a car or that drives a car does not understand how the car works. It doesn't have the understanding of what is going on in the engine and all that. And that is the point, that is the level at which we put morality. You are able to operate in it. You are able to do things. However, ethics is a higher standard. Let's look at the slight this analogy. Consider the case of a driver and an automobile engineer. The driver knows how to drive. He may not understand the mechanism and the design of the engine, but however, he can enter the car and move it. An automobile engineer, on the other hand, understands the mechanism and how the car works. He's not just about driving the car, it's about the performance of the car. He's about the principles involved in moving the car. So connecting this with ethics and morality, you can see that morals are like driving the car. You just enter the car and you move it. You don't want to know what is going on inside. But ethics now, you have a deep understanding of why the car is moving and how the car is moving, as along with moving the car. I hope I'm not too fast for anybody at this juncture. So right now we are going into looking at what are the consequences of ethics. Next slide, please. Let's look at what the consequences of ethics are. Yes. Now, when you say consequence, a lot of us, when we were younger, or maybe when we were in class, you would have heard that you face the consequences when you do something. It means the outcome. It could be good, it could be bad. Unfortunately, some of us have been considered to thinking that consequences are necessarily bad. Not necessarily. Consequences are just outcomes of any action. Doing good with proper reason, that's being ethical, have positive consequences like safeguarding the society. Even you will feel good about what you have done. There's a level of credibility that is attached to you that, oh, you see, usually some people, they attain some positions in life based on their ethical standards. You heard, I'm sure you would have come across some people that they will say, oh, this person is getting this position because of his ethics, professional ethics, business, and other ethics. Uh, Another consequence of us acting in an ethical manner is creating credibility and satisfying basic human needs. Now, when you act in an unethical behavior, it also has consequences. The consequence of acting in an unethical behavior, I believe the screen is no longer being shared. Okay. Is number one, if you're unethical, nobody will trust you. If you are given money to manage and at the end of the day, nobody can give an account of what happened to the money, definitely there's lack of trust. That's when you put your own people in position so that you can do unethical practices, which is nepotism, corruption, crimes, and everything. I don't think any one of us is a stranger to all these things. These are as a result of acting in unethical behavior. And remember, we have said that ethical behavior not only has an impact on the humans around you, it also has an impact on the environment, the society in which we live. So, having looked at what the consequences of acting in an ethical behavior, looking at ethics and morality, and also looking at the various consequences, qualities of ethics after evaluating what ethics is, we are going to now look at various dimensions of ethics. Now, this part is a bit deep. So as much as possible, I'll go as slow as I can. Please, next slide. We want to look at the dimensions of ethics.
Hello. I don't know if you can. I can't hear you, ma'am.
Hello, Ma, are you still there? Okay, please, everyone, be patient. I think she just had a glitch on her network. Okay, please be patient while we get her back on the call. Thank you.
Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. My network went off for a bit.
Yes, you are back now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was saying earlier before the network was disconnected that there are four major dimensions of ethics. You have meta ethics, you have prescriptive ethics, which is normative, you have descriptive ethics, and you have applied ethics. We are going to try and I will try and break them one by one so that we can just have a good understanding of what is. Usually when you hear the word meta, you've heard metacognition, meta ethics, meta this or meta that. Meta just means something about okay, let me use metacognition as an example. When you say metacognition is about thinking about what you are thinking about. Meta ethics also in the same vein is ethics about ethics. Do you understand? Now, prescriptive ethics, which is normative, is divided into four major parts. Three ethic, virtue ethics. I will just touch on those ones further in the class. You also have descriptive or comparative ethics, and then we have applied ethics. In applied ethics, you have four, we have is divided into various. This time around, you have bioethics, cyber ethics, environmental ethics, personal, various. This is just ethics as in relation to something. That's the applied, how you apply it to a particular domain. So now let's go to the next slide where we'll just quickly touch on various aspects of ethics. Meta philosophy and ethics. Next slide, please. Meta ethics is the study of nature, scope, and meaning of moral judgment. Study of nature, scope, and meaning of moral judgment. Now, it's about looking at what ethics is, what's the ethics around ethics. Do you understand? The study of nature, the scope, and meaning of moral judgment. Now, going further, if we want to look at what normative ethics are, I will start by saying normative ethics is the study of ethical behavior, is the study of ethical behavior, and is the branch of philosophy ethics that investigates questions regarding how you are supposed to act. Is it proper for you to do this? Are you supposed to have done this? Is it okay to do this? That's you have that normative ethics. Now, you remember we said earlier on that normative ethics is divided into various aspects. That's why we have the deontological ethics. Now, deontological ethics focuses on inherent rightness or wrongness of an act. Okay? Inherent rightness or wrongness of an act. Is it good of its own, of itself? Okay, so there are various principles under this. I won't go too much into them. Maybe after the class you can just take a little time to research on them. You have moral absolutism. These are some of the principles under deontology, and it's that certain actions are inherently good or bad. You also have duty-based ethics that are guided, that these are actions that are guided by a sense of duty and obligation. Also under it, you have intentionality. That's the moral value of an action, and it is determined by the intent behind it. Okay? Now, if you look at also, apart from deontology, you also have teleological ethics. It's known as consequentialism. What happens? What's the outcome? Remember, we've talked about outcome earlier on. That outcome, and you have various principles under it. I will just mention them. We have consequentialism, utility, and ends justifies the means. And lastly, we have virtue ethics, which focuses on character development and moral virtues. It doesn't look at consequences, it's just emphasizing no, you don't need to move it. Okay, you can leave it. It emphasizes cultivating good habits. Now, please move to next slide. Let's now look at various aspects of examples or instances where you can evaluate this. No, please, back. One slide forward, please. Yes. So looking at meta ethics now, it deals with questions like what is meant by doing right. Remember, we said meta ethics is looking at ethics itself. What is meant by doing wrong? It deals with the definition of right and wrong. So meta means about the thing itself, like I earlier said, and meta ethics is looking at ethics. So what is doing right? What is doing wrong? Then prescriptive ethics, which is the normative ethics. Remember, I said it deals with question of what action is right or what action is wrong. It checks if the action or the outcome of an action fits into the definition of right and wrong. That means let's use examples. What is meant by right or wrong action? What action is right? What action is wrong? However, in prescriptive, is it is the action in itself right or wrong? Is it wrong to kill a person? It depends, right? So that's where deontological ethics, that's the domain for deontological ethics. It focuses on action. Teleological ethics, on the other hand, looks at uh, the outcome, and the virtue ethics look at the like I already explained earlier on, looked at moral character, your own moral compass development. Descriptive ethics will consider the question of how many among you think it is right or wrong. That's comparative. We look at, it deals with beliefs about morality, it deals with what society thinks about morality, it's empirical investigation about morality. And then finally, applied ethics looks at this ethical behavior after looking at what ethics is, if it's good or bad, if an action in itself is right or wrong, whether you think it's right to do something or not. It now looks at how does it impact a sphere of operation, or an area of doing. For instance, the ethics around businesses, ethics around um, academics and stuff like that. So he looks at applied ethics, bringing ethics from the theoretical to practical about a sphere of being. So next slide, please. So further now, we will look at ethics in private or public relationships. Now, if we say ethics, we've looked at ethics, we understand ethics, we've looked at various dimensions of ethics. Now we want to look at ethics in private or public relationships. So private relations, of course, as it says, or as the name implies, it has to do with friends, families, people that have intimate or personal relationships with you. These relationships usually are informal, and emotions are very strong in these relationships. Whereas public ethics usually refers to co-worker, stranger, people that you are not really familiar with. They are more formal ethics, or it's ethics in a more formal environment, and it's a social obligation is stronger in this one. So you should be ethical in both private and public relationships, and in doing so, you should also try to achieve the right balance between private and public ethics. Now, moving on, we want to look at what ethics is in private relationships. So next slide, please. Let's look at ethics in private relationships. Private relationships largely involve relations with family, friends, and hence are informal in nature. We've said that already. They're often driven by emotions and not necessarily reason. I'll take a relationship between sisters. Your emotion is stronger when you're dealing with a sister than when you are dealing with somebody you are sitting beside on a bus. And this can result in unethical practices. For instance, on a bus, is it ethical? You would not ordinarily put your hand inside somebody else's bag that you are sitting beside on a bus, because the social environment, our social ethics in the societal ethics makes that very, very okay. Please go back to the previous slide. It's not okay. So you won't do that, but you would do that to your sister. So it can result in unethical practices. Doing it to your sister, you don't feel as bad as you would. So, for example, helping your friend to cheat in an exam. Now, a lot of people have various and diverse opinions about this, but ordinarily it is unethical. But because you are doing it, if your mother is writing an exam beside you, let's take it to the extreme. Your mother has to write an exam and she happens to be writing it beside you. And your mom is crying beside you because she doesn't know an answer to a question. Naturally, you would not leave your mother like that. But it's still unethical. Now, that's in private relationships. That means what happens is that it lowers the bar. Ethical standards bar is lowered. However, in public relations, it involves relations in formal nature, and that's why there are some things that in private it's tolerable, not acceptable, it's tolerable, but in a formal environment, you cannot do it. It includes your relationship with the people you work with, your relationship with government or its officials, or any other person that you come across that you are not familiar with. And someone you're not familiar with, definitely the relationship is formal. So if you do things like that, the implication will be, so let's go back to my earlier example of putting your hand in somebody's bag in public. That's stealing. You could land in jail for that, but in a private environment, it's more permissible. So ethics in public relations can come into play at social ethics, that's tolerance towards other sections, peace and harmony, political ethics, constitutional ethics, national interest, etc., and organizational ethics, which deals with impartiality, hard work, efficiency, and corporate governance. International ethics is diplomacy, respecting international treaties, and etc. So let me just break this down a little bit more. First, when you say social ethics, what is tolerable or acceptable? I'm a Yoruba woman. What is tolerable and acceptable in the Yoruba culture is not, let's say, in Igbo culture. For instance, if you wake up in the morning as an Igbo person, I don't expect you to kneel down to greet me. However, if you are my child and you're in a Yoruba environment and you don't kneel down to greet me or show some level of very high level of respect, it's going to be offensive towards me. So when you are in an environment where you understand that their way of life, what they consider is a standard way of behavior is different from yours, you must learn to be tolerant. In politics, also, we all have different affiliations. You must learn to be tolerant, understanding that there are various ethics. That's why in formal environments, there are some things you don't discuss, especially things like politics, national interests. There are ethical behavior around these things. Organizational ethics also dictates that you do things in a proper and professional manner. The moment you deviate from that standard, you know you are being unethical. And that's why you find most organizations would define what they expect you to do. The code of conduct or code of ethics is always documented in most organizations. And then you have international ethics, which is depicted in various treaties. Next slide, please. You have to respect international treaties, and that's why you've realized that most countries will bring these treaties and now have laws to implement them in their own local environment. Examples of organizational codes of ethics. Remember, we just talked about organizational code of ethics. You have integrity, teamwork, objectivity, confidentiality, and growth. These are examples of codes of ethics that you'll find in an environment. And remember, we also mentioned some of these as some qualities of ethics or principles around ethics. Without ethics, no man has future. That is to say, mankind without them cannot be itself. Ethics determines our choices and actions. So next slide, please. Let's just look at what we have covered in this class. We have covered what ethics means. We understand that ethics is you applying a level of reasoning into your moral standards, right? And having covered that, we also understand that there are various dimensions. We looked at various qualities and attributes, and we also looked at various dimensions of ethics. Ethics in itself, understanding the good and bad of ethics, why you need to know or study ethics. why an action inherently of its own may be right or wrong, why you may consider the consequences of an action to be able to determine if the action in itself is right or wrong, and how you can bring all this into day-to-day activities when it comes to application of ethics. Now, we went further and we looked at understanding ethics itself, ethics and morality, and we differentiated between the two, being using the analogy of a car engineer, an automobile engineer, and a driver. A driver just moves the car, and that's the level of morality, while an automobile engineer understands the workings in the engine of the car as well as being able to drive the car. So we see the levels at which both of them are. And then after that, we looked at ethics in private and in public. We have understood now that standards of ethics, usually in informal relationships, are a little bit lower than, but it is much, much higher when you are dealing with a formal or external environment. And that is why usually in those environments, they are codified or they are defined. That's why you see them written in black and white. And our conclusion is that and then we saw some few examples of what code of ethics that you would see in an organization, like integrity, teamwork, objectivity, confidentiality, etc. And our conclusion is that without ethics, without something regulating us, remember we also mentioned that ethics is on the basis of humans being able to make their decisions to do something right or wrong. Man has no future. That is, mankind without ethics cannot be itself. Ethics determines our choices and our actions because it looks at the impact it has on us, on individuals around us, and in the environment, and the environment as a whole. Now, this brings us to the end of the discussion on ethics, and momentarily we will be looking into the Sustainable Development Goals. But before we do that, I will take maybe one question, just one question on ethics. You can type it in the chat. I'll leave just 1 minute for that. But if there are no questions on it, then we'll move on swiftly to Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, please. Let's look at what Sustainable Development Goals are. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about these Sustainable Development Goals. And if we haven't, let's know today that there are actually 17 SDGs developed by the United Nations. And we can see them. We have no poverty, zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, uh, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth. Okay, someone asked the question, so I'll just take a minute to answer that. Do societal ethics change? Yeah, I believe it does. In the it, and you know it, it's it, the society itself is evolving, and this is a subjective answer, if I might tell you, because a different person will tell you no, it doesn't. I'll tell you why I believe it does. Let's cast our mind back imaginatively. Cast your mind back to, let's say, 1927 or 1827 in the Yoruba environment. A woman can go into the Oba's palace with her husband, and she may never come out of that palace because there's a term referred to Obagbesele. I don't know if some of us that are Yoruba here would understand that. That means the king has put his foot on her. That means she can no longer go, either married or single. She's bound to the king. In today's world, no king would do that. And that's an example of societal ethics changing. Then it was ethical. Anybody that does it now, any religious or political or traditional leader that does it now will be highly criticized. And so that's an example of a change in a societal ethic. I hope that answers your question. So moving on, I was stopped at industry and innovation, infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, that's submarine or marine, uh, life on land, peace and justice, peace, justice, and strong institution, partnership, for the goals. These are the 17 goals. We will do well to at least be familiar with these 17 goals. These goals refer to a development model that meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own need. Please, next slide. That means if these things are done, you are able to meet your own needs in this generation. Every one of us will be okay, will be fine. However, we would use everything we have here. That's where the word sustainable comes in. You do it in a way that you meet your goals today. We're able to live comfortably, we're able to meet our needs without compromising the ability of the next class to meet as a next class, next generation to meet their needs. Now, sustainable development goals, usually they are referred to as SDG. There are 17 in numbers. We've looked at the 17 of them. And these global goals was established by the United Nations. Please, you can move to the next slide, in 2015. And this is a blueprint for achieving a more sustainable, equitable world. If you look at most of the things that are talked about here, you talk about equality, you talk about fairness, you talk about sustainable, doing things in a sustainable way. SDG addresses various social, economical, environmental challenges facing our planet, and it aims to eradicate poverty. You see, number one is poverty. It reduces inequality, it protects the environment, and it promotes peace and prosperity for all. The 17 SDGs, they cover a wide range of interconnected issues, including ending poverty, hunger, ensuring quality education and attaining gender equality, because a lot of people, that these are areas where in the past there have been issues, inequality in treatment of the genders, promoting clean energy and sustainable infrastructure. Hence, you have cities, this sustainable energy city in the UAE and other climes that is being developed, that is being built right now. Combating climate change is also related to that. Protecting marine and terrestrial ecosystem relating to sustainability, and fostering peaceful and inclusive societies. So each goal is accompanied by specific targets and indicators. If you understand what it means to have indicators, that means you have key performance indicators to know how well we are moving towards attaining these goals. And each nation, of course, every nation, most nations on earth are members of the United Nations, subscribe to this. And so everybody is tracking their achievement of the sustainable development goals. Now, why are the SDGs next slide, please? Why are they important? Next slide, please. A sustainable one is where is no, please, previous slide. Sorry. A sustainable world is one where people can escape poverty, enjoy decent work without harming the earth ecosystems and resources, where people can stay healthy and get food, water that they need, where everyone can access energy that doesn't contribute to climate change, where women and girls are afforded equal rights and equal opportunities. Utopia, if you believe, if you ask me. So next slide. Why are these SDGs important? I'm trying to finish up before the next class now. Why is it important? Next slides. Why is the SDG important? The beauty of the SDG is that it gives us a comprehensive framework of goals and targets, and it creates a shared language with which to understand the complexity of actions we must make to achieve development. Now, if you look at it, the basis or the baseline of these development goals are ethical standards of behaving in a way that does not harm the next person or harm the environment in which we live, which is our earth, over time, so that we enjoy the earth now and we leave something for the people coming after us by God's grace. So the goal, the beauty of SDG is it's a comprehensive framework that you can adopt from a global standard to organizational standard. that you can adopt and continue to build on. It is not it doesn't have to stay at the top. It is encouraged to be cascaded down into the environment and into the economy of our nation. And over time, we will see that a sustainable development and achievement is achieved over time across various spheres: social, environmental, and economic aspects. So, next slide, please. This basically is the end of the class. I apologize for the network troubles we had at the beginning. And if there are questions that I can field maybe in the next 3 minutes, I'll be happy to just type it in the chat. I'll be happy to take your questions. Any questions? All right. In the absence of questions, I will take this time to sign out now and then yield the class over to the Transformation College uh, consultants to take on the class. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much, ma'am. It was a beautiful session with you. Please, a very big round of applause to our trainer for today. She has done justice to the ethics class, and I believe that we have taken one or two things from today's class. Thank you. Okay, but we are appreciating you for the class. People are appreciating you over here. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. I appreciate that. I apologize for the mix up at the beginning for on the network and all that. I wish you a
That's
lovely class. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I do have a lovely one too, ma'am.
You too.
All right, so we've come to the end of the first session. Everyone, thank you for joining us in the very first session today. So the link for you to migrate, if you are here on the call and you are for the AI and machine learning class, the link is on your various platforms and is also on the chat room here. Please do well to migrate right about now so we can kickstart from there. Okay, so we have just 1 minute.